Today is May the 20th, 2024, and this is part 2 of a 2-part series on animal sacrifice. Those of you who missed part 1, let me provide a 30-second recap. We learned that animal sacrifice is the slaughter of animals for food or worship, and it can also represent divine judgment. We learned that the word zabah means sacrifice and was first used to refer to Jacob slaughtering an animal for food, and then used to refer to Jacob again for slaughtering an animal for worship. We learned that animal sacrifice was not part of the Creator's original design, but that because of the envy of the devil, death entered into the world. We learned that because of Adam's disobedience, he was the first animal or living being to receive a death sentence. And once Adam disobeyed, no living creature on earth was immune from death. In fact, Yah himself slaughtered an animal to provide a garment for Adam. Now for this video, we will focus on the following questions. Number 1, did Yah desire for the Israelites to slaughter animals for food and worship? Number 2, did Yah permit Israelites to slaughter animals for food and worship? Number 3, why did Yah permit Israelites to slaughter animals for food and worship? Number 4, if Yah doesn't desire sacrifice, why are there so many details in the Torah? And number 5, will animal sacrifice continue after we return to the land? Question number 1 is, did Yah desire Israelites to slaughter animals for food or worship? The answer is no. And we can find it in Jeremiah chapter 7, verses 22 to 23. And it says, "For I spoke not to your fathers, and commanded them not, in the day wherein I brought them up out of the land of Egypt, concerning whole burnt offerings and sacrifice. But I commanded them this thing, saying, Hear ye my voice, and I will be to you a God, and ye shall be to me a people, and walk ye in all my ways, which I shall command you, that it may be well with you." Question number 2, did Yah permit Israelites to slaughter animals for food and worship? The answer is yes. The idea of animal sacrifice was not new to Israel. Noah did it. Abraham did it. Isaac did it. Jacob did it. And the Israelites did it. But you should know that although Yah permitted it, it was not his desire. So why did Yah permit Israelites to slaughter animals for food and worship? To understand this, you must understand that the world is no longer operating under Yah's perfect original design. Animals have been slaughtered since Adam disobeyed. And Adam and his seed, which includes you and me, are currently experiencing divine judgment. Every time we go to a funeral and every time we bury someone, we witness the consequences of Adam's disobedience. Here's the cycle that has been occurring since the deception in the Garden of Eden. Adam disobeyed. Yah allowed an animal to be sacrificed to cover Adam as a garment. Adam experiences divine judgment or his own death, which was human sacrifice. Then Israel disobeys. Yah allows Israel to practice animal sacrifice. Israel experiences divine judgment through death or human sacrifice, and that was through the human sacrifices of their children. So animal sacrifice was a consequence of Israel's disobedience. Just like Adam, they had an opportunity to draw near to Yah from the outset, But in their disobedience, they rejected that opportunity. So Yah allowed these natural consequences of disobedience to occur. And Israel didn't stop at sacrificing animals. They graduated into far worse activities. In the book of Hosea, chapter 13 and verse 2, it says that Israel says, "Sacrifice men, for the calves have come to an end." And so just like Yah's sacrifice of the animal to cover Adam ultimately ended with the death of Adam, so the children of Israel's sacrifices ultimately ended with the death of their children. Listen to Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 31. It reads, "They have built the altar of Tapheth, which is in the valley of the son of Enan, to burn their sons and their daughters with fire, which I did not command them to do, neither did I design it in my heart." The Most High has designed in his heart a perfect place for his people, and in this place there is no death, not of any kind. So why did he allow his people to take this path? Because they did not choose life. First, there is disobedience, then animal sacrifice, then death. Question 4. If Yah doesn't desire sacrifice, why are there so many details in the Torah? And the answer is found in Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 25. This is the key to understanding this. Yah said, "So I gave them commandments that were not good, and ordinances in which they should not live." What could those statutes and commandments be that were not good? What judgments would bring death rather than life? The only answer is animal sacrifice. All of the other laws that Yah gave us were good and brought life, but these brought death. And this is why the book of Leviticus has lots of information about procedures for animal sacrifice. But there is a hint that this is not Yah's will, even in that book. In chapter 1, verse 2, Yah says something very interesting. He uses the word if. He says, "If any man of you shall bring gifts to the Lord, ye shall bring your gifts of the cattle and of the oxen and of the sheep." This word "if" hints at the fact that this is not required, and yet he offers extensive guidance on how to do it. As written in the Wisdom of Solomon, the Spirit of wisdom will walk with us in crooked ways and test our souls before revealing the straight path that Yah designed in his heart. I believe that the sacrificial system is an example of one of those crooked ways. And even in this system, Yah was with us, directing us, even on crooked paths, just like Yah directed the Israelites in the wilderness. Question number 5. Will animal sacrifice continue after we return to the land? And the answer is yes. As long as there is disobedience, there will be animal sacrifice. Moses said that the first Israelites were rebellious from the day they left Egypt until the day they were about to enter into the land. And likewise, the second Israelites will be rebellious from the day we are gathered until the day that we are about to enter into the land. The first Israelites refused to cast away the idols of Egypt. Likewise, the second Israelites will refuse to cast away the idol of their slave masters. The revolting and ungodly first Israelites were not allowed to access the land. The revolting and ungodly second Israelites will not be allowed to access the land. The first Israelites practiced animal sacrifice when they entered the land. Likewise, the second Israelites will practice animal sacrifice when they enter the land. Moses told the first Israelites that it wasn't because of their righteousness or for the uprightness of their heart that they got to possess the land. And the same will be true of us. Many of us expect that everything will be perfect on day one, but it won't be. Just like a teenager who has wrecked his bedroom and disobeyed his parents, Yah will gather us with a mighty arm and with fury poured out. We should not expect it to be a party. We will be expected to correct our mistakes. The scripture says that we will still have to be taught how to distinguish between the clean and unclean. There will still be sin offerings and Sabbaths, circumcisions, and new moons. We will have to fix up what we messed up. I believe that when we enter the land, we, the second Israelites, will be joined by our ancestors, the first Israelites, and David, our king, and we will have work to do. In the book of Ezekiel, chapters 40 to 48, there are 3 feasts that Yah wants us to redo: the Feast of Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Tabernacles. I believe that we must redo these feasts because this is where our mistakes began. We were rebellious from the time we left Egypt until the time we entered into the land. We never cast away the gods of Egypt, which is why Yah had our ancestors wander in the wilderness for 2 years before showing them the land. This will be a time of testing for the second Israelites to see if we are willing to obey all Yah's commandments. Yah is not going to risk putting us in an ideal and perfectly designed environment until we have proven that we will not destroy it again. And yes, a time will come when the sacrifices will be over. But until then, we will listen to David's prayer in Psalm 50, verse 18. He says, "Do good, O Yah, to Zion in thy good pleasure, and let the walls of Jerusalem be built. Then shalt thou be pleased with a sacrifice of righteousness, offering and whole burnt sacrifices. Then shall they offer calves upon thine altar." And we will once again have an opportunity to approach the tree of life. Proverbs tells us that the spirit of wisdom is that tree of life. If you are curious about how good life will be, you can read Jeremiah 31, Isaiah 65, and Amos 9. They all describe how wonderful life will be when animal sacrifice is ended. This concludes the 2-part series. Thanks for listening.